Yes, guys, welcome back to MCFC Connect. Today we are reacting to Man City's latest Premier League fixtures which have not long been revealed. We're going to have a look through more the 38 game long list, and yeah, I'm excited to look at them all, see where the big games are, see what the real crunch time months are, and everything like that. So we'll start over here. We'll start on City's Twitter, where they've revealed some key dates, so specific dates that you're going to want to save. First game is against Wolves on August 16th, so it'll be a return for Ait Nouri. I don't know if it's at Molineux, but it's going to be a return for Ait Nouri, and of course Mateus Nunes as well. Then first derby day. I think that means away because the arrow is pointing at them. So home, the derby day is on 13th of September on a Saturday, so that's a big one, of course. Then just before Christmas Eve, we've got no, not Christmas Eve, just before New Year's Eve, we've got Nottingham Forest, who of course had a great season last season. Let's see how they do this season. And then away from home here, the derby, 17th of January this time around. And the final fixture is against Aston Villa once again. We know that all too well, especially after quite a year. But now then, let's have a look at the entire fixture list now. So we'll start with August. Wolves, Tottenham and Brighton. It's 2 away games and 1 home game. Now then, not going to lie, not the easiest month. An away game to kick us off, okay? You know, it's Wolves' first home game of the season. They're going to be up for it, you know, and it's really going to be a mystery to see how Wolves are next season. You know, no Cunha and no Ait Nouri. You know, they've got big business coming. Okay, they pulled in almost 100 mil between those two players. It's just about how they reinvest. Tottenham, Thomas Frank, I rate him as coach. We're gonna have to see how his Tottenham side shape up. And Brighton always tend to be a tough foe for any team, really. I believe we drew against them last season at their ground, so we've got to be careful. Now then, to kick off Manchester United after what looks to be an international break is, of course, the derby at home on Saturday, 13th of September, which we just mentioned. Going to be a weird one for United too. Will they be finishing 17th again? I doubt it personally. I'd be surprised if they are that bad again. But hey, if they are, we will be there. Arsenal away from home. That's a big one. 20th of September away from home. You know what, though? I'm actually quite happy with it. I'd rather get the Emirates game out of the way. You know, that's 5th game of the season. These are a tough first 5 games, I just want to mention. You know, at the Emirates on match day 5, it's a big one, you know, for both sides. Burnley at home, newly promoted team. We should be getting the job done, and yeah, that's really as far as it goes. I'm curious to see who will have in as coach, because Scott Parker, very good in the Championship, doesn't tend to do well in the Prem, so we'll have to wait and see. And don't forget when I believe it was Liverpool that battered Bournemouth 9-0, I think it was, when Scott Parker was in control. It was in control just a couple of seasons ago. Now then, by no means an easy month. 2 away games here. Brentford away from home, tough team. But again, it's gonna be weird to see how they shape up. No Thomas Frank, you know, and Buemo could be on the way out. I think they're pretty well run. I think they're going to be all right, but it's going to be interesting. Everton at home. Look, Everton at Goodison Park are a bit more worrying for me, but we'll have to see how we do. Everton under David Moyes next season will be interesting to watch. And Villa at Villa Park is always tough. Now then, more home games than away games, a lot more. As we play Bournemouth on the 1st of November, and we play Liverpool at home at the Etihad. Look, I'd prefer it to be at Anfield. Okay, I'm the kind of guy that would rather get all the tough away games out the way in the first half of the season, and then let them come to the Etihad in the second half of the season, when we tend to click into gear a bit more typically. But Liverpool at home, I just hope we can get the win. It would be great to get a win over Liverpool, but they're looking like a serious threat with Florian Wirtz obviously joining the squad from Frimpong, Kirkez, and hey, who knows, even a number 9 on top. Newcastle away at Newcastle, St James's Park, always a tough game there. I don't think any team goes there thinking they're in for a stroll. Especially this season coming, Champions League football. Keeping their key players, which was obviously crucial for them. Isaac, future, probably going to stay there. Livramento, who City won, is looking likely to stay there, but we'll have to wait and see. And don't forget the stacked midfield of Guimaraes, Tonali, Jolinton as well, and more additions in that squad. Leeds at home, newly promoted team. We should be getting the win, really. Fulham, not a bad team, but I back us to get the win. They're a solid team, though. They've got some decent players in there. I'm curious what will happen with their left back this summer. Sunderland, newly promoted again. No offense to them, but yeah, they are newly promoted. We do need to, we should hopefully just clear that. Crystal Palace, look, I want to get the win because we lost the FA Cup final to them. But also, I just want the win because it's a crucial points. But I've got to say, Palace are a bit of a bogey team for us at times. Out of all the teams that tend to take points off of us, they tend to be up there typically. So, Palace, whether it's a draw, whether it's a loss, I want it to be a win. But it just wouldn't surprise me if it goes the other way. West Ham, I'm just curious to whether Graham Potter will be in the job when it comes to this point. Graham Potter, he's come in at midpoint during the season. It was all right. He didn't relegate them, but he didn't exactly cook with them either, if you get me. It wasn't exactly incredible stuff. Nottingham Forest away. Look, Forest ground, always difficult. Right after Christmas, so we'll see how it goes. And Sunderland away. Man, we're doing both of those this month. Now then, some of these fixtures can change because Champions League games might get in here and it might take up some slots. And Carabao Cup, and, well, from this half of the season onwards, the FA Cup too. Now then, to kick off the new year, we're playing Chelsea at home, which, of course, is a big one. Of course, we played Chelsea in our first game of the season, this season just gone. And I think that is our last game in terms of not repeated fixtures. So Chelsea would mean that we played all the teams at least once. Brighton at home, Albion at the Etihad. Look, I still back it. I think they got a 2-2 draw against us at the Etihad last season too. I think we drew against them home and away. So again, I back Brighton. They tend to just be good. Their coach has done a pretty solid job. Look, Man United at Old Trafford. Again, it's really going to depend on how they are, but it's a big game. It's a derby. I want the win massively. Wolves at home. We tend to do good against Wolves, to be fair, as of late. So I'm backing us there. Spurs away. The Spurs curse will always be in my head, man. I just can't get over it. So always a bit of a nervy on the Spurs curse. Now then, Liverpool away to kick off this month. Very tough month. Very tough way to start the month. The month doesn't look particularly easy either, but it could be worse. But yeah, Liverpool away from home. By no means easy. Anfield, it's going to be crunch time, and it's going to be about crunch time in the season. This is the part of the season where you don't want to lose. It's part of the season where you'll be hearing me saying, don't drop points, got to keep winning now. But yeah, that's a big one. And again, it's going to depend on where we are in terms of the team. Fulham at home. Again, I tend to back us against Fulham. I do respect them. I think they're a good team. At the Etihad last season, it was 3-2. And if they'd just taken their chances better, they probably could have won. So by no means writing them off. And I'm curious to see how they'll do. Newcastle United at home. 4-0 this season, so if we can have anything similar to that, that would be great. But again, Newcastle are very good, and I think 4-0 at home was just a bit of an anomaly, to be honest with you. I don't think they're going to come to the Etihad and be like that again. Leeds United away. Elland Road, this is the point of the season now where it's going to be getting difficult, to be fair. and look, curious to see how Leeds are doing, but the likelihood is, considering how teams do come up and down in the Premier League, they're going to be in a relegation battle, which means every point is going to count for Leeds now from this point onwards. This is the point of the season where they've really got to grind out points, even if it's just a draw. Now then, into the final 10 games of the Premier League season. Forest to kick off March at home. 3-0 at home last season. Now, of course, teams are going to change. It's just because it happened last season doesn't mean it's already been prophesized for this season. But again, I'm so curious to see how Forest will be. Will they keep up that great momentum of European football, or will they fall away a bit and, maybe just fall into mid-table or worse? Or will they rise and actually get Champions League football this season? West Ham away. Again, we don't tend to do too bad against West Ham. Graham Potter, again, I'm curious to whether he'll be in the job at this point, because I still think he's a bit unknown. Crystal Palace at home. This season was 5-2, but I rate Glasner, and Glasner really kicked Palace into gear in the back end of the season, to be fair to him. And so we're really going to have to wait and see on Palace, I'm very curious about them. Keeping Eze will be priority, and considering they got European football, it's very good for them, and it's probably going to mean they get a bit more budget to spend this season. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that regard. Chelsea away from home, Stamford Bridge. Look, I do back us against Chelsea. I'm not dissing Enzo Maresca, but I don't know. Chelsea's just a weird one, but I tend to back us against Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea are brilliant. I don't think they're unstoppable. I'm saying this now, and Chelsea are going to be top of the league in December, aren't they? But look, this isn't Premier League predictions, but I'm fairly confident on Chelsea, but I have to wait and see what they do in terms of business. They need a proper number 9. Liam Delap's come in, and yeah, I hope he does well there. I just hope he doesn't cook when he plays us. Now then, Arsenal at home. Proper crunch time game here now. This is a huge game. This is a game where you're like, okay, whoever wins this is in a very strong position potentially. Arsenal looking to bring in a number 9. Gyökeres or Sesko is looking like at the moment. At home, it's not going to be easy. I don't think Arsenal are a bad team. But again, it's going to be so tough. It really depends on how summer signings gel for both teams. I'm really hoping that, of course, our 3 signings so far, and 4 signings even, if you want to count Bettinelli, and whoever else we may sign, really fit into the team. But we'll have to wait and see on that. Burnley away from home. Again, this is a big point for them. 5 games to go on at this point. Depends where they are in the table, really. If they're just a couple points off safety, even a draw at this stage would be huge, depending on their last few games. A draw at this stage is huge for them. And so definitely not writing them off. Everton away from home at Goodison, definitely not a great away game to be happening in May. We've really got to lock in on that one. Very tough one. Very much a tough game. We saw how Everton could be. Oh wait, no, it's not Goodison Park, is it? Oh, it's their new ground. Completely forgot. Yeah, of course, it's their new ground. Well, I'm curious to see how they're going to do there. Will it have that same, that aura that Goodison Park did? Yeah, it's going to be a weird one. Man, Everton not playing Goodison Park. It's going to take a little bit getting used to. Brentford at home. Brentford just a weird one, man. I'm really hoping we get the win. We do tend to at home, to be fair to us. But yeah, it's going to be tough. Bournemouth away from home. Again, Bournemouth not bad this season, but I feel like they're getting a little bit poached this season. You've already seen Hulson go to Real Madrid. You're seeing Kirkes go to Liverpool. That's bringing in a lot of money for Bournemouth, which if they're smart, they can reinvest well. But yeah, it's going to be a weird one for Bournemouth. I'm very curious to see how that goes. And then, of course, Aston Villa on final day at home. City fans are all too familiar with that because of what happened just over 4 years ago. Genuinely, what a final day that was. And I'm really hoping that this final day can have a similar effect as to what happened 4 years ago with that brilliant comeback. But look, this is our fixtures. Now, in terms of difficult months, I gotta say, January is not easy. January is a very tough one. I think it's saving grace is that the bulk of the games are at home, but we're playing 3 Big Six sides. Brighton aren't bad, and who knows where Wolves will be. Again, this final month could be easier as well, but I don't think it's too bad. The thing is here, apart from January, we haven't actually got many months that have all the all the big sixes kind of grouped together. Don't get me wrong, this stretch between August and September is a difficult one. 3 big six sides again, 2 of them at home though again as well. It's a very weird one. Typically, I'm kind of used to like this season we had, I believe, Arsenal, I think Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, and then someone else at the end of the month. That was a very tough month for us that February, and then we had Real Madrid in the mix too, which didn't help. But look, these months can become a lot trickier when you include the Champions League and the Carabao Cup potentially as well, and the FA Cup. These months do become a lot more difficult at that point. Suddenly you could be playing Arsenal again in April, or we could be playing Bayern Munich again. It's going to be a weird one. It's going to be very, very strange. And I can't wait to see how the season shapes up. I'm really hoping that we can cook, though. In terms of months that are without Big Six, October has no Big Six. December, funnily enough, doesn't have any Big Six, considering how many games there are. January has 3, 1, none, 1, and none. So they're kind of spread out a little bit, the Big Six games. Only 3 months, it seems, don't have any Big Six going on. So, yeah, what a strange month. I'm very excited for this difficult season incoming. So many teams are moving quick in the summer, like I've already mentioned, Liverpool throwing bids and whatnot. Arsenal, of course, waiting to get the deal for Zubimendi over the line. Then they're going to be moving on to other players, and they're interested in Nico Williams. And of course, the striker area needs improvement for both Liverpool and Arsenal. So it's going to be very strange. City have got more to do, despite already making 3/4 signings, and yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting. I'm very, very excited though. It's always such a joy to see the Premier League fixtures, and I'm really excited to see how the Premier League shapes up, because it's just so interesting seeing surprise packages like the dark horse of last season being Nottingham Forest. I don't think anyone had them. I'm guessing European football. Never mind. Never mind contending for Champions League football at a certain stage. But look, thank you to everyone who's tuned into this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And look, next season there'll be another one. But make sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. And make sure to turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss the next time a video drops, or even a live stream. But big ups to you all, Blues, and I'll see you all in the next one.